Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Welcome to this week's Manager Matt podcast show. This week I want to explore, why do people hate work? That's right, why do people absolutely despise going to work? I know you think you know the answer already, but listen to find out more. Without any more delay, let's get on with this week's show. Welcome to this week's show. Hope everyone's doing well. I hope that you're delivering results, and I hope your team are working with you to get those results you need. And I hope, genuinely hope, that you're enjoying your work. I know that sounds a bit strange, but a lot of people don't like working. Or maybe it doesn't sound strange. You know, should we all love our work? Or is it just something to do? Is it something that we have to tolerate in a modern society? If we want the nice things, if we want the nice cars and the nice fancy holidays abroad, do we have to put up with work? Do we have to hate going to work? And that's the sort of thing I'm asking to do. You know, people hate work. You know, why is that? Do they not feel engaged? A lot of times they don't. They don't see the point in being there again. Some people just don't see the point. Are they always hitting red tape? Is it the frustration of the work? Do they like what they used to start doing in work, and then all of a sudden over time they hate it because it's just not what they used to do? Things have got more complicated. Is it that they're not communicated to? Are people not talking to these people? Is that what causes people to hate work? A study a few years back showed that 60% of American workers were disengaged at work. 60%. And if you look at your engagement score surveys, most people wouldn't recommend the place they work to a friend or family, and often look at other work and want to leave. And there's actually 19% who are miserable. Yes, absolutely miserable at work. And I know that if you listen to this and you're in a working environment, you're probably looking to the side of you and thinking, yep, that person there hates being here and is miserable at work. So what is it? You spend such a long time at work. You know, you've got to travel to work, or you're travelling from work, or you're thinking about work, or you're actually at work. Most people, let's say conservatively, between travelling and there, 8 to 10 hours of each day, 40 hours a week at least, is spent on those things of, do I, hate my job that much, spend 40 hours? Would you spend 40 hours doing something you really hated anywhere else in your life? No, you wouldn't, would you? So what is it then? Is it just about the money? I hear people say, I don't really like my work, I hate it, I'm just coming there for the money, and that's it. But I don't think it's that easy. You can get money doing lots of things in this world. The more the technology moves on, people seem to get money for doing anything, falling off something in video, and it seems to get you money for some reason. Don't really know how that works. There seems a lot of that, of people calling themselves entrepreneurs, where they're buying something and just selling it through. They're just meddle people. But it's all about the money. They make money. You can make money anywhere else. But on the reverse, what motivates people to engage and enjoy the work? You know, if you're disengaged and you're miserable and you're only there for the money, your days drag. And what kind of life is it if that's all you're doing? You're getting up, drudging into work, hating what you're doing, then going home and then feeling miserable just knowing you have to go to bed and then go back around and round and round again. That's not the way to live, is it? The life we lead in our world is very, very short. There isn't a lot before it's over. The last thing you want to be doing is sat on your deathbed thinking, oh, I wish I'd have spent a bit more time at work. No one does that, do they? Nobody. So let's have a look at it. Let's do it. Let's start with that. Let's do a look back and see future. So say 50, 60, 80 years in the future, and you're in that moment where you're thinking, yep, it's over. You know, life always comes to an end. And you look back, what would you want people to say you did for a living? What did you add value to the world? And I think it's easy to start thinking around that before you do anything. What do I want people to think of me when I'm not here? What are the obituary they would write about me? It's not being morbid, it's being realistic. do I have a purpose? Do I know why I'm here and doing what I'm doing? Do I have a passion for what I do? Do I really get into it and love what I do more than anything else? And if no, so what's the plan to change that? What can I do to do something different? Now, I know you're going to say, I have to pay the bills, I've got to put food on the table, I need to feed the kids. Understand that. But don't let that be a barrier to where you want to go. Because I know, and you know, in your heart of hearts, you spend so much money on things that don't really add value. You spend money on stuff that you don't really need to buy, which means you could be doing something different that even pays a bit less. I know a story of a friend of ours who was talking around the fact that he had to give up contributing to his pension, which is a big mistake normally because your pension has an employer contribution as well as your own, and it's tax-free when you put it in. I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't give advice on that. But this person was saying he couldn't do it. He had to come out of his pension because he had childcare. And I'm thinking, wow, what world do we live in? People are sacrificing the future because they had this childcare issue. But when you actually boiled it down, he had a big, massive Audi in the drive that we were paying on a lease. So he'd rather put money into that than his pension. So when you start looking that way, you need to plan yourself back around what you need to do in the world to make sure that you're contributing the right things at the right time. And that's all comes back to the idea of purpose, passion, and a plan. But how do you start that? How do you start in that short, middle, and long-term planning? Well, first thing is, look at what you really, really like to do. What is the thing that you really gets you going? What do you love to do? Talk about flow, don't they? When you say time flies by when you're having fun, that's that idea of flow. Are you flowing at work? Are you really enjoying it? What work makes you do it? Is it a hobby that makes your time fly by? When you're in that state of flow, is it cooking? Is it doing something arty? Is it enjoying the day? What is it that you like to do that is the flow? And then that second question is, well, what are you good at? What skills do you have? So is it a physical skill? Are you good at mentally things? Are you a thinker? Do you love words or numbers? Are you good with your hands? Are you good at practical stuff? So those two things, maybe you can put them together. And what could you make a living off of? I see a lot of people in many lines of work. Some are very much knowledge workers, thinkers, people who spend their day mulling over these great problems that happen, or project managers. You go and do those, and those are really guys who are strong and girls who are really strong at that side of their work. Some people on the reverse are very practical. They're good with their hands, electricians, welders, gardeners, roofers. Great, and they love that job. For us, who are maybe office-based, probably not as much to stand on a roof in the pouring rain, but people who are really good at roofing love to do it, love being involved, love to get out there and do it, and they make a living out of something they enjoy, something that makes their day go by. And I think the last thing is, what do we really need in society? What do we need? Do we need more people to do? Is it something on healthcare? Is it caring people? Is it around building the infrastructures? Is it about getting the projects done on time? What is it the world actually needs, or your community actually needs? So you got those four things. What do I love to do? What am I good at? What can I get paid for? And what does the world really need? If you take those, when you start formulating the job you want, you start thinking about what I really want to do for a living. And then you can plan it. How do I get from where I am now, where I hate my job, I hate doing this work, I hate the people, I hate whatever, how do I get to those areas which I really love doing, which I've got skill in, and I can really add value in the world? Well, you've got to have a plan, haven't you? And a plan isn't just going to go A to B. A plan's going to go A to D to C to E to +10 to -6. That's what happens, really. You're going to move all over the place. Most people, when you ask them at school, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be a doctor, pilot, soldier, policeman, fireman, nurse, architect. Not many people say, well, I'd like to work in a bank behind the teller, or I'd like to be a manager. I want to manage. Not many people that say they want to be managers when they're kids, do they? So how do they go from where they are to where they're going to get to it? And that's the idea of a short, middle and long-term plan. Firstly, look at your short-term aims of this plan. What do I want to do first? So how do I get information? How do I do my research? How do I build this ideal job that's not going to bore me? And in the middle, you start getting experience, you start building some knowledge. You do maybe do some volunteer work if it's something that's different. Or you go on courses, short courses. The YouTube of this world, you can learn anything. You don't need to go to a library anymore. You just go to YouTube, find stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that's everything because there's a lot of rubbish on there. But you start learning short courses you can take. That's that middle stuff. And then the longer ones is, what is the next step to get there? You start looking at applying for jobs. You start looking at where you're going to go in the future. What's going to drive the business that you want to be in? Do your research on that. Make sure you understand it. And then, of course, like anything, you've got to execute. How do I execute the plan? I've got my plan, and you can have the best plan in the world, but if you just don't do it, you're never going to get anywhere. So how do I get from where I am to where I'm going to do it? You've got to make that step. You've got to leap and make the leap. And sometimes you don't overthink it. Sometimes you need to do it and just get on with it. Because you can overthink it, you can talk yourself out of it, you don't try it, and you're back to that regret. You're back to that being on that deathbed, thinking, I wish I'd done this and I wish I'd done that. And we should never look back in anger. I think there's a song in that about what we didn't do in our present because we were scared of what would happen in the future. Because sometimes you need to take those leaps. And as long as you've done it in the right way, with controlled steps, you'll do great. Because what you don't want to be one of those 60% disengaged people, or even worse, that 19% miserable people, because your days are going to be shorter than you think. And before you know it, you'll be laying there thinking, I wish I'd done this, and I wish I'd done that. Well, one thing you can do, and I wish you'd do it, is to give me some feedback on this show and other shows. So, when you've got a minute of your spare time, and I know you're very busy, please send me some feedback to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. I read all the emails myself, would love to get information on new or old episodes you'd like me to revisit. And as feedback is a gift, it's a free gift. So please, when you get a moment, do it. And also, please share this with other people who may really find it useful, because I'd love more people to listen to the show and give us new ideas on new shows in the future. Well, that's it for Manage Matt this week. Again, thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.